John and JoBeth Ladd are with me. They're Arizona cattle ranchers. They've been coming on my show here during the fair conference for 8 years. Now, the Ladds face constant threats and invasion from Mexican drug cartels and smugglers on their cattle ranch. Their ranch spans 10.5 miles of the Arizona-Mexican border. Now, you go walk 10.5 miles, right? That's a long way. Now, John Ladd was hopeful that new border security measures when Trump came in, including the pedestrian fence erected along his property in 2007, would finally end the terror that they felt in their own backyard. Instead, drug cartels got worse. They continue to barrel through the barriers because the Border Patrol regularly removes 40 feet of the fence during flood season. They don't stand at the border. They're miles back. Additionally, John Ladd is forced to mend the fences cut by illegal aliens and drug smugglers, not only to protect his family and his lovely wife, JoBeth, and their kids, but to prevent his cattle from going to Mexico. Now, the Ladd Ranch has been there for 120 years. John is a fourth-generation rancher. Great to have you with us. Always wonderful
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you
us.
both. JoBeth, I got to say, every time you come here, you look better. You get younger. I mean, I don't know what it is. It must be that Arizona hot weather, but it's, what do they say? It's not wet or something? How does it go?
It's a dry
heat. That's it, right? It must be not like Washington, D.C. Now you come here. That's John. It's a little bit opposite, right? You're in.
It's a little humid.
You're in the muggy season.
Yeah.
You're in the swamp. Well, this is the swamp.
Right.
And when you come to the swamp, it's a little hot and it's a little wet. So tell us what, every time you come on, there's always hope that next year is going to be better, but it never is. So now we're back to catch and release. What is going on down there? Let's start with John Ladd.
Well, you're right on track, but the good thing that has evolved is our sheriff and our governor have formed a partnership. They have a border strike force team, and we have in pretty much our ranch with a little bit of extra area, 15-mile corridor. 7 men on that strike force team have shut the drugs down.
Really?
Yep.
So how is that? I mean, how do they actually do that?
Well, they have real-time game cameras and put them on the known trails and watch your cell phone, see what's coming through, get on them. The Governor Ducey,
Governor Ducey,
he contributed several $1 million to that program, and then our county it's 100% prosecution, and everybody's going to jail.
In your county?
Yeah.
So, and what county is that, John?
Cochise County.
Cochise County, Arizona. So if you come over the border and you're apprehended and they got all these cameras and you're in the drug trade, you're going to be prosecuted in the U.S. or are you shipped back?
No, you're in the U.S. and you go
to U.S. jail.
Guaranteed 2-year prison term.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
And so basically you come over, if you're Mexican or Colombian and you're caught and you're in the drug trade, you're going to a U.S. prison for 24 months.
That's right.
And then what happens?
Well, they're deported then. But now
24 months in a day they ship them back.
Right. But they're a felon now. So then the next time if they come back and get caught again, then they're going to jail again.
Why doesn't everybody do that? I mean, that's the answer.
Well,
one county.
Yeah.
So if you're smart, you'll not cross your ranch. You're going to some other ranch.
Well, and the mules are asking when they're getting caught now. They said, "Are you border patrol or are you sheriff?" You're sheriff. Oh, I'm going to jail. Yes, sir. You're going.
So if
they know.
So John Ladd, let's get this straight. This is fascinating. This is why I love having you guys on, guys and gals. So John Ladd, let me just ask you this. So if you are in the illegal drug trade and you come over the border and you're apprehended by Border Patrol and not the what
sheriff
county is it?
Cochise County.
Cochise. I gotta write that down. And not Cochise County sheriff personnel. Border Patrol gets a hold of you. What happens?
They take your dope, take you up and process you, and then deport you.
They just
yeah.
Took your dope. Have a nice day. Here's the bus.
Yep.
Nice air conditioned. We'll get you back in a couple hours. Here's a sandwich and a cold soft drink. Right?
You got
That's
it.
basically what they do.
That's it.
But if they're caught by Cochise County sheriff personnel, that was your sheriff appointed or is he duly elected?
He's elected.
Duly elected.
So your sheriff of Cochise County, duly elected, and his deputies, who they appoint as deputies. So you're caught by that sheriff, and they are taking you where? Arizona jail, the county jail?
You're going to go to county jail first. The next day you're going to have your hearing. The next day after that you're going to Florence, which is up by Phoenix, and that's a state prison.
And you're going to go there for 2 years mandatory sentence.
Yep, juvenile or adult, you're going.
Doesn't matter. You're
That's
going
it.
for 2 years.
Yep.
So if you're part of the drug trade and you're coming into Cochise County, first of all, you don't want to go into Cochise County. Secondly, if you do, and if you get apprehended, you don't want it to be the sheriff.
Right, that's right.
Duly elected by the people enforcing the law.
That's right.
Why doesn't every county in Arizona adopt that?
Well, you've been here long enough to see the sheriff start coming back here, and that my opinion is that sheriff is the law enforcement that should have the control of the whole county, whether you're on the border or on the interior.
Well, you know, we've said this, JoBeth, for a long time, that people don't realize, but sheriffs are really the last bastion of law enforcement in America that is accountable to the people, not to the government, not to the authorities, not to the FBI, not to all the. But they're the last bastion that is accountable to actually the people they serve because they're elected.
Yep.
And so when you look at this and what they're doing in Cochise County, which is working, your neighbors in what are the two neighboring counties? They've not adopted the same policies?
No, there's one. Well, we go right up to New Mexico on our east end. But when you're going west, there's one little county that is at Nogales, Arizona. That's a big port of entry. And they're pretty much open border there. Then the next one over is Yuma County, and they have adopted the same thing that Cochise has. So we got 2 out of 3 working pretty good.
And part of that was the governor,
Right.
Governor Ducey. I know he's gotten Trump supporters give him a lot of flack because of some of the things he's done, but it seems like the governor's support here has been critical.
Absolutely, and he's elected too, and it's an election year for him. But I support him. He's been doing really well on border issues, and he understands what the porous border is to the rest of the state. The crime level, the drugs coming in, he understands that, and that's been a pretty good year. Border Patrol, they're still puppets to Washington. They could control the border if they were allowed to, but we don't work that way down there. And our sheriff took over, and we've had good luck with that.
John, when you say that Border Patrol is puppets at Washington, elaborate on that.
Well, they're civilian law enforcement, number one. They haven't progressed with their tactics other than the technology. The cartel is beating them with a cell phone and a pair of binoculars right now. They watch them. The scouts are on high points. They say, well, there's Border Patrol over here. Washington thinks that they're going to spend billions of dollars. You know, that steel wall we have was $4 million a mile. And send the media down and look at it and say, well, how can anybody get across here? Well, they climb a ladder.
They just climb a ladder.
Sure.
Real easy.
And nobody's there to see them. Nobody can catch them. So what the heck? And Washington has Border Patrol there saying, look what we're doing. And it's been nothing for 30 years.
Nothing.
And, there's good people, Border Patrol. But
it's just smoke and mirrors because they're accountable to the federal government.
That's right.
Where your sheriff is accountable to you.
That's right.
That's really the difference.
That's a big difference. The good people in Border Patrol, most of them, but they got a swamp too. They need to drain it. They need to start over. And when you come in America illegally the first time, it's like a traffic ticket. The second time you come, it's a felony.
The second time.
Yep. The first time, it's no big deal. And and they quit doing this, but it used to be voluntary return on your own. You say, well, I'll go back to Mexico. It didn't go on your record at all.
Unbelievable.
So you can come 15 times and volunteer every time you got caught and never have it on your record.
Now 2 times, second time it's a felony.
Right. Now you can do it.
It was interesting. We had Fred Davis on a couple of minutes ago, and he was telling us that 1 out of 6 of people that come across the border illegally are actually apprehended. which means that that's what, 15%, 16%, so 84% just get away with it, right? Nobody finds them. 84 of 100 never get apprehended. And then of the 16, or the one out of six, the 16 or 17 that do get apprehended, they're given a piece of paper to show up for a hearing, and 50% of them never show.
Right.
So basically, if you take that 8%, you add it to the 84, 92% of the people that come over the border illegally end up in the U.S. with no consequence, because even only half the 16% actually show up. So the others get the piece of paper with the court date in Tucson or Phoenix, and never to be heard or seen from again. So that's what the joke is. So let me ask you this, JoBeth, lad rancher. Would Trump's wall make a difference on your ranch, yes or no?
No, not unless Border Patrol patrols it.
So the wall is meaningless without the patrol at the wall, not 30 miles in.
That's right.
Now, your ranch is 10.5 miles length of the border of Mexico. How far back is it? What's the depth?
4 miles.
4 miles. So we always have this conversation, just to remind our listeners. And Border Patrol is not at the border, right? They're 30 miles in.
Well,
20 miles.
They're at the highway at that 4 mile north of the border. That's the main highway between two cities. But that's what they patrol. They got 2 guys on our ranch on that 10.5, and they got 13 up there on that. I don't have 13. I'm exaggerating.
Right. But your position has always been they should be at the border, not on the highway.
Catch them when they're climbing the wall.
Right. Doesn't make any sense. So even if Trump had his wall, it wouldn't matter if it's not patrolled.
That's right.
So maybe we ought to get those 5,000 troops you put in Afghanistan out of there.
There you go.
And put them at the border. That's the answer. So this segment is brought to you by our good friends at the Ox is here, by our good friends at America First Policies, as Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings continues today on Capitol Hill. It's important to separate fact from fiction, reality from partisan rhetoric. The truth is, Judge Kavanaugh is one of the most qualified Supreme Court nominees to ever come before the Senate. He served with distinction as a federal judge for more than a decade. His credentials and integrity, well, they're really well known. As you can see in the hearings, Judge Kavanaugh has proven himself to be smart, fair, and a true conservative. As a Supreme Court Justice, Brett Kavanaugh is going to protect our First Amendment rights of free speech and religious liberty. He'll defend our Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. He will uphold our Constitution as it's written. That's a novel concept. Judge Kavanaugh has the right qualifications to serve on the Supreme Court. Now it's up to the Senate to confirm him. Call your senator today and tell them, confirm Justice Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court. For more information, go to AmericaFirstPolicies.org. That's AmericaFirstPolicies.org. This message has been paid for and authorized by America First Policies Incorporated here on the John Fredericks Radio Network. And we are back with John and JoBeth Ladd. They're ranchers in Arizona. 4th generation ranch. Been there 120 years. That's a long time, John.
That is.
120 years. And the good news is we're finally getting some progress because of their local sheriff. What's his name?
Mark Daniels.
Your local sheriff. So everybody knows out there. So in Cochise County in Arizona, their ranch, their local sheriff, with the help of the governor, has their own patrol on the border. Forget Border Patrol in Washington, the federal government, all that. They got their own local patrol from the sheriff's office. And if you're in the drug trade and you're apprehended by somebody in the sheriff's department, 2 years, you're going to federal prison. 2 years. Done. You're going to jail. Prison, actually. 2 years. And then you're deported. If you come back, now you're a felon. So bad things are happening. Now, I've only got a minute, but I have this one question. So what if somebody comes over the border, they're not in the drug trade, they're just trying to get in illegally, and they're caught by one of the sheriff's deputies? What happens?
Then they turn them over to Border Patrol.
Which is catch and release.
Pretty much catch and release.
Which is no policy.
Right.
So they're caught.
Yep.
And then they're released with a piece of paper.
They spend a couple hours doing all of their IDing on them and processing and all that, but get on a bus, like you said, get a couple of sandwiches and go back
And a cold soft drink.
Yeah.
And then they just go back, and that's it.
And that when Trump was first elected, they quit doing that, and then they started back up again. That's what disappointed me. That was Border Patrol. It just the feds haven't stepped up.
They don't want to.
No,
they don't want to. They don't want to, and now they're trying to get Trump out because he's getting serious about closing the border. It's unbelievable. I'm out of time. John Fredericks Radio Network live, Washington, D.C. Stay with us.